Okay. Well, I cannot kind of get into the frame. Good. I think this is good. I like instantly light up when the camera comes on. I'm like, okay, I see me. Like at first I was like, but yeah, no. Okay, let me go ahead.
Hey cousins, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia J, and I'm the host of the Sunday Reset podcast, where we talk about everything faith and self-care. As promised, this week we are going to do a deep dive into boundaries and how to set them, how to manage them, and everything like that. If you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're returning, hi and welcome back. As always, you guys are glowing and growing, and I do love this look on you. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. This week we don't have a weekly scripture per se, because I have scriptures built into every step, and I got my notes because, like I said, it is a deep dive. This video might be a little bit longer than normal, so feel free to put it in 1.5 speed, 2x speed, or whatever, but you definitely want to take some notes. So yeah. Okay, so step number 1 is understanding your needs, your wants, and your limits. Before you even set a boundary, before you even try to figure out what a boundary is going to be for you and whatever relationship you're trying to set one in, you need to understand like what you need, what you really want, what you're going to accept, how certain actions may stand up against your beliefs and your values. So, in all different aspects of life. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself a few questions. But before you do that, let me give you the scripture for this specific step. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. That's Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. And with that scripture, it basically is just emphasizing how important it is for you to protect your feelings, to protect your emotions, to protect your peace, everything that derives from your heart, because that is the starting point, the main engine, if you will, to catapult you to your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. Everything that you do, like if you're feeling bad, you're not going to really perform the way you want to perform. You're not going to show up the way that you want to show up. You're not going to be focused the way you need to be focused, because you have other things like coming at your heart, other things distracting you. And honestly, I mean, if you want to do well, like who wouldn't want to protect their joy is what I'm trying to say. Who wouldn't want to protect their heart? A lot of times we wear our heart on our sleeves, and that can hurt us more than if we just put up a small boundary, like just put a little sheer on, basically. You don't have to have your whole heart out. You can still be kind, you can still be giving, you can still be loving, you can still be honest, you can still be transparent, you can still be a friend. You can still be all of those things and still protect your heart. I know that I had like one friend, and she really, when she had a heartbreak, she was like, okay, I'm cold to all these people, it's a cold world, and like she just put up like a major wall. This video is not that. I'm not teaching you how to put up a wall. I am teaching you how to put up a nice little picket fence, a little boundary, if you will, that you can actually use to stand on it, be strong, be disciplined, and true to your values and true to yourself. So here's the questions. What behaviors make me feel uncomfortable, drained, or disrespected? What do I need to feel safe, respected, and valued in this relationship? What personal values am I unwilling to compromise on? This is very important, because that speaks to your limits and how much you're willing to take, how much you're willing to deal with. And then that'll kind of set the path for what do you do when those limits are reached or breached. So, and then the last question is, what are my emotional, mental, and physical limits? So like I said, it was a stepping stone into that one. Sorry. Yo, I be trying to be so serious, but yeah, no, I really am serious. So in a relationship, you might want to realize, like, what kind of things do you want to protect with your individualism? Because relationships, you're supposed to be coming together to make one, especially in a marriage. But it is important to still realize your specific part in that, which is your individualism. So having those boundaries will be healthy and not toxic. At work, you may need to like separate, work from your personal time. So finding that personal like work-life balance will be important for that. In friendships, you may not want to be available for them 24/7 for emotional support. I don't want to be a trauma dumping ground 7 days out the week. However, I am available to my friends when they do need them, or do need me rather. However, I'm not going to pick up every beck and call. Like, I am going to express to them, like, hey, now's not a good time. I am doing X, Y, and Z. I will call you back at this time if that works best for you. Because I got to protect my peace. Like, if I'm outside having a super fun time, like, as long as they're safe, right? If it's just like an emotional, like, I need a vent really quick, okay, that's my limit, right? If it's going to be like a 2-hour conversation and I'm outside with my son, all right, I'm gonna have to call you back later, or text me or whatever, let me know. I'll try to hit you up, but I need to protect what I'm valuing right now and what I'm finding important. Not to say that they're not important, it's just a boundary that I have in place. Also, this is step number 2, identifying the areas that need boundaries. I kind of went over like a few of the common like overall like areas in your life, but the aspects of it, we'll go into that next. And the scripture for that one is going to be coming from Matthew chapter 5 verse 37, and it says, let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. This is taken out of context, but I do like the way that this scripture is applicable to this context, which is setting boundaries. I'm not saying that if you say yes, no, maybe so, is evil. I'm just reading the scripture out of the Bible that I feel like best applies. But I do want to like stop and signify like the importance it is for you to have a clear mindset, a clear decision, because that is an important pillar of you being able to set and maintain these boundaries. So the areas that you can kind of go into each aspect of boundary setting. So I gave you relationship, work, friendships, and family. So there's 4. But within those 4, you can break it down to time boundaries, which is protecting your time from unnecessary commitments and overworking. Emotional boundaries, so guarding your feelings and mental well-being. Physical boundaries, that's number 3. Physical boundaries, setting a boundary for your personal space, for your comfort, for your physical touch. Like, everybody knows, like, I am a really like loving, giving person. I do like hugs from certain people. I do not like hugs from like everybody and their mom. Like, I'm not like that type of person that I'm gonna be going out and just openly showing affection to you if I don't like really feel comfortable with you. But like, that is like my personal boundary. Like, I don't do that. And I ask people like, if before I give a hug, like, oh, is it okay if I, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to step on somebody else's boundary, especially if they're not confident in the boundary that they're setting and they just let people walk over them. That's just like a no-no. But yeah, that was number 3. Number 4 is like work boundaries, like how much of a workload you're willing to take on, after hours communications, responsibilities, digital boundaries, managing like your screen time with your phone. social media interactions, and access to your life. That is a very big one. Also, I struggle with this one a lot because, like, for this podcast, I need to post on the internet, right? I need to post. But on my personal Instagram page, I barely post. Like, I barely hit post. Like, if you go on my personal Instagram page right now, I only have 3 posts up there. And the posts that I do have up there, I spent probably like 20, 30 minutes figuring out which photos I wouldn't mind being somewhere else that I didn't put it, right? So, not saying that somebody would, but that's just where my mind is going when I think about those limits. I don't want, you know, a certain image like being out there on the internet. So, yeah, that's real. And then number 6 is conversational boundaries. So, avoiding discussions that trigger stress or discomfort. I will need to add a caveat to this one. A lot of times with this is valid. Like, it's clear cut. You don't need any explanation. Like political conversations. Like, a lot of people don't want to have political conversations with people because, I mean, it's time and a place for that for sure. A lot of people don't want to have faith conversations because a lot of boundaries, a lot of beliefs are different. So, and that can cause heated things. There's time and place for that. But when it comes to like conversations that need to be had, like in a relationship or a friendship or whatever, I really believe that like you can have discussions that are really important, and though it may like trigger stress or like negative emotions, there's a way to actually have that conversation. And I feel like I should have another episode about that, how to have like healthy conversations without it being like yelling or like just like name calling and all this other stuff. So how to like have a healthy conversation, because I think it's important for everybody to like understand and have that skill, because while you can have a conversational boundary, I feel like some conversations still need to be had, even if it is like in that boundary that you don't really want to talk about. But yeah, so some examples would be if a friend constantly dumps their problem on you without considering your own personal emotional state. Your boss expects you to answer, emails or Teams messages after you get off of work. Your shift ends at 5. Why are you texting me at 5:30? Why are you messaging me at 7 a.m. when I come in at 8:30 in the morning? A family member keeps pressuring you about your life choices that make you uncomfortable. When are you getting married? When are you having a kid? When can I meet your boyfriend? When are you getting a job? Okay, that last one. That last one actually, not gonna lie. That last one was actually kind of valid. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's kind of like what I was talking about. Like, some of these conversations, like, you need to have, even though it may hurt your, even though it may hurt your feelings, like, you still need to have the conversation. So, that one was a joke. Okay, but yeah. Step number 3 is communicating clearly and firmly. Effective communication is really going to be key for you in these situations when you're setting your boundaries, because if you don't have that clear line of communication and you kind of like blur those lines, you're not really going to have like an effective boundary set. And what I mean by that is, and how that looks is, and also the understanding for the other party will be kind of void if it's not clear to begin with. So let's say you have a boundary that you want to set with a friend. This friend is going through, let's just say this friend is going through a divorce, right? And like, you're also going through like a tough time with your partner, right? Your friend is fully aware of this issue for yourself, but yet she calls you at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. She texts you 15, 20 times out the day when you're at work. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Can I just call you and vent to you about the same situation I vented to you about yesterday? Those kinds of things. And this is kind of extreme, but I'm just making an example. So your boundary would then need to be set with her. Like, hey, I'm 100% here for you. The most that I can give at this point in time is, feel free to call me when I get off of work. We can sit on the phone for like an hour, get whatever you need to get out, and then we can kind of go from there. If you ever feel like, you feel a little bit unsafe, of course, still reach out to me via text, but while I'm at work, I need to focus, and I can't really focus because I have my own things going on as well. So this is just adding to it, and I want to still be here for you 100%, but this is how it's going to look for us. They should be okay with that. I mean, it may hurt them a little bit, may hurt their feelings because they may feel like, maybe they were being a burden to them, or maybe that you don't really care as much. But honestly, that's for them to figure out. That's for them to deal with. You're not here to mitigate other people's feelings. You are here, though, to be respectful, to be kind, to be direct, to be transparent and honest. Honestly, it's the best way to live. And this is how you can show up for them 100%. So the scripture for step number 3 is going to be, I gotta flip to it, sorry. Step 3 is coming from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15, and it says, instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect of the mature body of Him who is the head, and that is Christ. So it's important to speak honestly. It's important to speak in truth and in love. So when you're setting a boundary, so be direct, be respectful. You can use assertion. So you can be stern, but you don't have to be rude. There is a way to say things. Use I statements to remove the accusations or that tone of accusations or being accusatory of the other person, because like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, it's not necessarily you're not here to change them, right? You're just asserting what you find important. Number 4. Oh, and before I go into number 4, the one about family, I feel like trips everybody up because you don't want to disrespect your mom or your dad or whatever. But a lot of times when they be like, oh, when are you having a kid? When are you having a baby? When are you getting married? When are you going to pick your school? I don't think you should be moving over here. I'd be like, hey, I appreciate your advice wholeheartedly, but I rather not discuss my dating life at family gatherings or at the dinner table. I would prefer to talk about it at this time or whatever, or I'm just not comfortable sharing this information with you at this point in time. But yeah, just keeping it calm, neutral, natural. It may be a little bit unnerving, to kind of have those conversations with them because of the value and the importance of their relationship in your life. I should also add here, I feel like it's almost weird to add, after you set the boundary, and if they with them, right, and then they remove themselves from your life, I really hate to say it, but that's really probably the best thing that could have ever happened, honestly, because at that point they're showing their true colors. They don't really value seeing you joyful, seeing you happy, and the whole time you're trying to make them happy, you're trying to give them joy, you value them getting to their goals. So if they're not able to reciprocate that, okay. Step number 4 is enforcing your boundaries with actions. Like I stated, and I'm gonna keep stating, Just because you set the boundary doesn't mean that you're going to be disciplined and stand on it. I'm standing on a boundary right now. Literally been standing on this boundary for like a little minute now. And it's because it's for good reason. It's not like I don't like the person. I do like the person. It's not like I didn't value their time or their energy. I do like their value. I do value their energy and their time. However, I do value my beliefs more than I did with that person not. Like, I don't want to say complying, but not wanting to comply with that boundary that I had put in place. So here we are. And yeah, that's that. Sorry, I gotta fix my camera. I feel like it got dark in here all of a sudden. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm tripping. Okay, but yeah, anyways, so enforcing your boundaries with action is important because now it's like, all right, so you said what you had to say, boom. How are you going to make sure that you are actually being heard? And that is your responsibility. It's not their responsibility to make sure that you're feeling heard. It's your responsibility to manage your own emotions. And this is a way that you can help ensure that you don't get stepped on or stepped over. You don't get like used or whatever. Like, you have to follow through. So for this scripture, let me give you that. Step number 4 scripture is coming from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, and it says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." If you continue to let people cross your boundaries, you will need to distance yourself to protect your character and your peace. What happens when somebody continues to do stuff to you or at you that you don't agree with? You're probably going to blow up. And is that the character that you want to display to the public, or just a person in general? It's probably not. So you would need to distance yourself from them, even if they don't want to distance themselves from you. So, I mean, I don't know how else to put that. I feel like if they cared enough to be in your energy, they would. They would still be there. And they would be respecting the boundary that you put in place. Okay. But to go into what you can do if they cross the line, you need to know when to take action and what does action look like. You're not reprimanding anyone. You're not anyone's parent. You are a friend, a co-worker. You're a spouse or partner. You're a family member, so a sister, a brother, a mother, father, granddaughter, grandson, nephew, niece, a cousin. All right, let me stop naming off stuff. But no, it's not your job like to reprimand them. So we're not talking about issuing out any type of corporal punishment by any means. But if a family member brings up a topic that you've asked them to avoid, excuse yourself. Change the subject. Remind them of your boundary. And then excuse yourself. Change the subject. If your coworker is texting you about work after you told them, hey, I get off at 5 p.m. and I do not want to be texted about work after 5 p.m. and they text you at 5:30 talking about a project that you need to submit, ignore it. Respond back in the morning. Politely respond to them with your hours of operations and that you will get back to them in the morning. If a friend is calling you late at night, after you ask them to stop, like, hey, I got time for you between this time and this time, after 10 p.m., I'm putting my son to bed, I'm chilling with my partner, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my time and they're still calling you within that time, stop answering the calls. Stop answering the calls. It's that simple. It's not rude. Like, just remind them of the boundary that you have in place, like politely, but it's rude to yourself for not respecting yourself. Like, you don't have any respect for yourself if you let people push the boundaries that you're setting in place. Do boundaries change? Yes. Your flexibility, your time, your workload, the amount that you can carry will change at all times. Sometimes it may be less, sometimes it may be more, but that's where communication comes into play. It's like, how much are you willing to take? And it doesn't make you a bad person for not taking this kind of behavior one day and then allowing that behavior 2 years down the line. Like, okay, well, I don't want you calling me right now because I have a newborn. I don't have a newborn, but I'm just saying that's an example. I have a newborn and, this is disrupting my time, but your child grows up and he's 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years old. So now you have more time because he goes to bed on a set schedule. He goes to school. So now I have more time to talk to you. Like, that behavior is now allowed because the amount that you could take, your limit, has increased. So it's okay for your boundaries to change. Because life happens, life is going to continue to happen, but it's about making the best of what you do have available. Oh my gosh. And I'm literally like, I'm looking at the time, probably like 26 minutes into this. I'm trying to wrap this up because I only have 2 more steps, but like I said, it was a full guide. So hope you're watching this in 1.5 or 2x speed because that's a long time. But yeah, step 5 is going to be handling the pushback and the guilt, because I feel like a lot of times, like, we'll set them and then we will try to enforce them. Like, I have seen people try to enforce them. I've done it myself, but feeling guilty or feeling like you didn't make the right decision or feeling like that's a little bit too harsh, or getting pushback like, hey, I don't understand who you think you are or why you think you could do this now. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about what you should do in that step. So for this one, the scripture is coming from Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. And it says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? I'm gonna let that one sink in. Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. I promise you, when I read that scripture, when I was looking for a scripture that really aligned with the steps that I had written down for how to, like, handle pushback and guilt when you're setting a boundary, I sat there, I feel convicted myself a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, dang, for a little bit of time, I'm not gonna say all the time, but a little bit of time, I feel like I was in a people pleasing zone, which is kind of like low vibrational. I'm not even gonna lie, it's low vibrational. The guys that say high value woman, high value man, I mean, I hate saying that because it's like, whatever, but I'm saying it's just low confidence. It is just not a good space for you to be in when you're trying to people please. It's one thing to, like, honestly be happy to see other people happy and try to bring joy into other people's lives. It's a completely other thing when you're really valuing and allowing someone else's pleasure to be your pleasure. Like, when you're allowing your boundaries to be moved and pushed to satisfy someone else. Like, I hate to say it like that, but it really is. It's a whole different thing. It is natural to feel guilty when you set a boundary and you have to enforce it. It is totally normal. Like, even with your children, like, if I tell my son, like, I don't want you jumping off the side of the bed, Or if I tell my son, I don't want you, you know, playing on your iPad at 9 o'clock at night. It's time for bed. It's a boundary. It's a boundary. It's a boundary. It's a boundary. And they give you the puppy dog eyes. I'd be like, oh no. But, you know, you gotta enforce that. You know, it's important for them to, you know, follow that rule, follow that boundary that you put in place. And so standing on business, whether that be removing their iPad, removing the privileges for a week, whether that be, you know, an earlier bedtime, a pop on the hand or something. I'm referring to a child at this point. But whether that be that, I mean, it's important for you to stand on that. But I mean, I still feel bad a little bit sometimes when I have to give my son disciplinary actions based off of his like behavior. But an important thing is like to remember is that I have to understand, like, I'm not here to please another human being. I'm here to, number one, for my child, make sure that he grows into the man that God put him on this planet to be. A responsible adult at the very, very least, respectable, honest, truthful, and just honestly, like, just wholeheartedly, like, just a loving human being. Of course, I value those things. And even not talking about children, just talking about like other relationships. Yeah, you want to, you know, you do want to see other people happy, but like, to what cost? Like, if you're so hardened, like with your heart, because you're starting to resent other people because you're letting them walk over you, you're starting to resent yourself because you feel like you're such a pushover, you're like, you're not going to be able to do God's work. You're not going to be able to follow your purpose because, again, your mind is all the way over here and your goal is all the way over there, like way past the screen, like behind the screen type shit. But yeah, so that's important. So let's talk about how to handle that pushback and guilt. People who benefit from your boundaries, they like to guilt trip you. They like to get angry. They like to test your limits. How does that look like? Just for a quick touch point. But I always helped you when you needed me. I was always there for you when you called. You know, anytime you called me, anytime you text me, I always showed up immediately. Remember all the things that I did for you? Like, that's a super guilt trip. If they get angry, so now you're changing? Now you're acting different? Now, what's this? You're acting brand new? Yeah. Trying to get angry. I mean, I don't I'm laughing because like the acting is trash, okay? But you're not here for acting. You're here for words, okay? You're here for the podcast. And then testing your limits just this once, please. Or if you're in like a situation to where like you don't want to have this conversation, they keep bringing the conversation up. They keep, you know, talking about this. Oh, remember when you did this? Or remember when you did that? How about we have this conversation? Oh, I have an event coming up. You should bring your boyfriend. Let me meet him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're testing how far you can go. Again, not respecting your boundaries. And if you let them do that, you're not respecting yourself. I just have to keep saying that. I have to keep saying that because it's really important. Setting boundaries is going to be super duper essential for you when you are managing your emotions, and the pushback that you're going to give back is not disrespectful, but you're going to be firm. You're going to have to stay calm. You do not have to over-explain. This is my biggest one. You do not have to over-explain. Sometimes you don't even have to explain yourself. And honestly, if you do those two things, you stay calm with your response and you don't over explain, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to work. Sometimes, with regards to standing on your boundary or having them to understand what your boundary is and how important it is to you, if they still don't get it, but they still are trying to like continue those same actions with you, then you need to distance yourself from them, because again, you're not responsible for the way people react, the way people feel about your boundaries that you put in place. You're not responsible for that. So if they want to be mad, if they want to be sad, if they want to boo-hoo, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so, like I said, when you have a boundary set in place, it could change 2 years from now. So I can understand this is different from how it was before, but this is very important for me to stand, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's going to be important for you to stay that. They say, hey, I don't like, you doing this new behavior. This is what works for me. And I do need to take care of myself. This is what brings me happiness. You don't have to go into the whole, I'm doing this because X, Y, and Z, and you should understand how I feel, and this is the research behind it. I don't know. You don't have to go into all of that, because honestly, this is what makes me happy and it's healthy. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Anything else is just a common courtesy. So do with that what you will. And then number 6 is just to adjust and reevaluate as needed. So teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. That's Psalms 90, verse 12. It just reminds us to be intentional with our time in our relationships, because you don't have that many days. Not being morbid or anything like that. You don't have that many days. Like, each day is a blessing, not being funny. I mean, with all this crazy stuff that's going on in the world, whether it's being broadcasted more now than not, I mean, that's not for me to say. But, I mean, it's just common knowledge. Like, you're not going to be on this earth for an infinite amount of days. You will pass away from ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Yeah, that's going to be you. So how would you like to maximize the amount of time that you do have on this earth every day? Would you like to be in agony or depressed or full of resentment and pain because you allow someone to walk over you and not respect you, and you don't respect yourself enough to set those boundaries in place? Even if you care about that person, like, even if you seriously care about that person, like, it's not worth your own happiness, and it's not worth you, like, not being, like, confident and following your dreams and your passions and being distracted. It's just not worth that. I hope that you guys got what you needed from this very, very in-depth episode. Again, it's so long. It is so long. But I told y'all it was gonna be long. I told y'all it was gonna be long, but it had a lot of good information in here. I hope that it resonates with you guys. I hope that you can use that in real life, in real time. If you have any other questions, requests, or whatever, don't forget that you can always DM me on Instagram at the Sunday Reset POD, and I will, if I like it enough, I'll make it into a video. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I will either respond back to you directly or make it into a video for you. But yeah, that's it. That's all. I will see you guys next week. Again, my name is Alicia J. I'm the host of the Sunday Reset podcast. You're glowing and you're growing always. And I do love this look on you, cousins. Bye.